بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Math grade 6, we are in chapter 12, lesson 6. This is the last lesson in our math book. Today we want to learn select an appropriate display. Select an appropriate display. See with me this video.
Chapter 12, Lesson 6, Select an Appropriate Display. You will be able to select an appropriate display for a set of data. Data can often be displayed in several different ways. The display you choose depends on your data and what you want to show. So a bar graph shows the number of items in specific categories. And I'll draw examples of each. So a bar graph looks something like this. These are just sketches. And by categories, you can talk about colors, pets, things that aren't numbers. A box plot shows the measures of variation for a set of data. Also useful for very large sets of data. Your box plot is also referred to as box and whisker, and it's drawn on a number line. A histogram shows frequency of data divided into equal intervals. So again, a histogram looks similar to a bar graph, only all the bars are touching. A line graph shows change over a period of time. And last but not least, a line plot shows how many times each number occurs. Okay. This one's not the best drawing, but okay. Those are the different types of graphs. Which data display allows you to tell the mode of the data? Let's take a look. Do you think the the box plot or the line plot? Well, here I would go with the line plot. Okay, the mode is 27. It's the number that occurs most often. Okay, the box plot can show the spread of the data, but it doesn't show individual data. Which of the above displays allows you to easily find the median of the data? Now, you can absolutely find the median of this data. You'd have to list them all out, find the minimum, maximum, and then the median. It's a longer process, whereas when I look at this box plot, right away, I know the median is 25. So in this instance, I'm going to go with the box plot. And median is 25. A survey compared different brands of hair shampoo. The table shows the number of first choice responses for each brand. Select an appropriate type of display to compare the number of responses. Justify your answer. Make the appropriate display of data for the above information. So here's our information. We have brands A through E and the number of responses. These brands are considered categories. They aren't numbers, they're categories. So if we look back here, categories refers to a bar graph. So let's go ahead and create a bar graph. Oops. So we have our axes here. On the bottom, we will have the brands. And on the vertical axis, we will have the responses. And our title, we'll just keep it the same title as the chart. Favorite shampoo, and I'm just going to keep it as favorite shampoo. I won't put the survey part in there. Okay, so we have brands A through F. So we'll put brand A, B, C, D, E, and F. Let's go ahead and write those in. Okay, so there are the brands. And the number of responses. It looks like our number of responses range from 8 to 42. So maybe let's count by perhaps 5s. 0 to 45 would cover it. Okay. And now let's create our bars. Brand A was 35. Brand B was 12. C was 42. D 24. E is 8. And F is 11. Let's go ahead and shade in those boxes. Okay. And it does say to select the display and justify your response. We never actually wrote that down. So let's say bar graph. And our reason is there are categories. Okay. Letter D. The table shows the quiz scores of Mr. Vincent's math class. Select an appropriate display to allow you to count the number of students with a score of 85. Explain your choice. Make the appropriate display of the data. So we want to be able to find a mode, okay? So we need to figure out which one we want to use here. A line plot shows how many times each number occurs, which if we reread that, he wants to display the number of students with a score of 85. So that right there tells me he wants to know a quantity for each number. So we will create a line plot because it will show the number of times the value of 85 occurs. Now let's create the line plot. Okay, we start with a number line. And we have math quiz scores. Our lowest amount looks like it's 65. Our highest is 100. So we need to go from 65 to 100. 65 to 100 is quite a bit of numbers, 35 of them. I do not want to write out 35 numbers. Instead, we can count by 5. So let's start with 65 and count by 5s. Okay. I'm just going to put some dashes here at my numbers, just so I know where to put the X's. Okay. Let's go ahead and put X's. We have two 70s. $75, $80. $100, $85, $85. $65, $75. $85, $95, $90. $90, $100. $85, $90. $90, $95. We have, where am I? $80, $85. $90, $85. And $90, $75. Okay, let's just double check here. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. 3, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And we are also in need of a title. I will use the same title as in my data box in my table. So math quiz scores can be the title. Okay, now it is very easy to see the amount of kids that got an 85.
So today we want to learn select an appropriate display for a set of data. And when we have data and we want to show this data, we want to display this data, we have 5 methods to display. We can use paragraph, we can use box plot, we can use histogram, we can use line graph, we can use line plot. But this lesson about what is the best display to show the data. Here the data determine what is the best or the suitable display. Can I show the data using this display? So I want to learn what the meaning of each one. We know the all. We studied as the previous lesson from chapter 11 to chapter 12, but today we want to revise what's the meaning of each one and what is the suitable one for the specific data. Now, what's the meaning of paragraph and where I can use paragraph? Paragraph always show the number of teams in specific categories. In specific categories. When we have period, and we want to know the numbers inside each period, we can use paragraph. Box plot. We can use box plot when we want to show the measure of variation. As you remember, measure of variation means the range, the median, the first quartile, the third quartile, the IQR, interquartile range. So when we want to show the measure of the variation, use box plot. For a set of data. Also useful for a very large set of data. If we have very large set of data, also use box plot. So here we can use box plot when we want to show the measure of variation, and when we have a very large set of data, we can use box plot. Histogram. We can use histogram when we want to show the frequency. The most often number. This is the meaning of frequency. The more repeated. Like mod. When you want to show the frequency data divided into equal intervals or periods, use histogram. Line graph, the lesson of yesterday. Use line graph when you want to show the change over a period of time. When you want to know increase or decrease between the values, between the data, this is the meaning of change, increase and decrease. So use here the line graph. Line plot. You can use line plot when you want to show how many times each number occurs. When you want to know how many numbers. For example, how many 11 I have in the data, how many 15 I have in the data, how many 4s I have in the data. So here I can use line plot. So remember, we have 5 methods to display the data, and our lesson today, we want to know how to choose the best one for the specific data. So must to know each one and where I can use each one. So paragraph, I can use paragraph when I want to show the numbers of teams in the specific categories or in specific periods. Box plot, I can use box plot when I want to show the measure of variation when I have a very large set. Histogram, I can use histogram when I want to show the frequency. I can use line graph when I want to show the change, increase or decrease. I can use the line plot when I want to show how many times, how many numbers I have inside the data. For example, the question here, which display allows you to see in what years 15 or more. Here I want to know how many 15 repeated inside the data or more in Juris Accord. The question show me 2 displays and I want to choose the best. Here as you see, here we have line graph, and here we have line plot. So I want to choose the best. Line graph show me the decrease and increase, show me the change in the data. But line plot show me how many repeated the numbers, show me the numbers exactly, how many numbers I have. For example, here 10, I have one point here means repeated one time, here two times, three times, two times, one time. Here no value, no value, no value. So I can choose the line plot, because here line plot here for this question, for this data, is the best display, because here the line plot sense exactly, it shows how many times each number of injuries occurred. For example, 10 just 1, 11 2, 12 2, 3 no, 14 1, 15 none, 16 1, 17 none, no value, and 18 1. So the line plot here, the best display to show the data. Example 2. The question here, the table shows the numbers of members in the school orchestra. Select an appropriate type of display to compare the number of students in the orchestra over the years. Now I want to explain your choice, why I choose this display, then make the appropriate display of this data. And we have here this table. Inside the table here we have the data. As you see here, we have a change in the values. We have 22, then we have 20, then we have 23, then we have 28. When you have a change in the value, decrease or increase, the best display here will be what? Will be line graph. Will be line graph. So when you see inside the data change in the values, increase or decrease, the best display to show the data here will be what? Will be the line graph. How to draw the line graph? The first step, draw the x-axis, and the second step, draw the y-axis, and represent the years on the x-axis. Represent the number of students on the y-axis. Then you can match between the number up and number down, 2011 and 22. 2011 and 22 here, between 20 and 25. This is the first point. Then here we have 2012 and 20. This is 2012 and this is 20. Match between them. Then we have 2013 and 23. This is 2013 and 23, between 20 and 25. So will be here. Then the last point, 2014, then 28. This is 2014 and here 28. Match between them will be the point here. Then match between the points. Draw line segment from the first point to the second point, to the third point, to the fourth point. You will find the graph here. You will find the graph. As you see here, between one point and the second point, we have decrease. We have decrease. Why? Here 22. Suddenly here we have 20. Then we have increase. Then we have increase. So we have a change in the values. We have change in the values. So the best display here to show this data, use a graph line or line graph. Okay. So since the table shows a change over a period of time, so a line graph would be the best, would be here the best. The third example here, present the following graphs and explain that they each represent the same data as a class. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of each display. Here, as you see, here we have histogram. Here we have histogram, and here we have circle graph. Here we have circle graph. As you see, circle graph, we have period, but inside period we have percent. So circle graph show me the data as a percent. As you see, here we have 17.9% from 10 to 14. Here we have 42.9% from 15 to 16 to 19, etc. But the histogram show me the frequency. Show me the frequency. Here show me the percent. Here show me the frequency. So what is the best? What is the best? For this example, the best is histogram because I want to show the frequency. The more data, the mod. So the best display here, histogram, show frequency of data divided into equal intervals. So as you see here, we have this rectangle. The more often number here, the mod here will be 12. So I use histogram because histogram show me the frequency in the data, show me the frequency on the data. But here I cannot. If the question said to me to see the percent, I can use the circle graph. But if the question said me to show the frequency, the best display will be what? Will be histogram. So I choose here histogram because histogram show frequency of data divided into equal intervals. So I can here write mod equal 12 and the most interval between 15 and 19, between 15 and 19. So this is our lesson today. So we learned today how to choose the best display to show the data, Who has a question now?
No one.
It's clear for all?
Yes. Yes, Mr.
What is our title today? What we learned today?
Select an appropriate display.
Excellent. So today we learned how to choose the best display to show the data, Right. Go with me now to the ALIF program. This is the last lesson in our math book and in our ALIF program. Select an appropriate display. I want to from all, when you finish your schedule today, to go to this lesson and solve this lesson. And here we have 2 lessons as a revision, and you can solve it also. So
there are many different graphs that can be used for different situations. Can you think of some graphs you've used before? The data set you are given will tell you a lot about what type of graphs to use. If the data is discussing change over a period of time, a line graph would be best. If the data is broken into intervals, then a histogram will be the best option. It's up to you to identify which graph is going to be the best for each situation. Do you think you can do that? In today's lesson, you will learn how to select an appropriate display for a set of data. You have learned about a few different ways to display data. Let's take a closer look at each display. A line plot, or a dot plot, is a graph that shows the frequency of data, or how often something occurs, along a number line. Line plots are useful when the data has a small range. You would not want to create a line plot if the range of the data was over 100. A box plot is a way to visualize important pieces of information within a dataset. A box plot shows you the 5-number summary for a set of data. A bar graph is similar to a line plot that shows the frequency of data. The difference is that bars are used to represent the data. Bar graphs are useful when data can be separated into categories, like favorite colors. A histogram is a graph that groups data into intervals. Histograms are useful when the data has a large range, or a large number of data points. A line graph is a graph that displays a set of data points with straight line segments. Line graphs are typically used to show a change in a data set over time. Let's practice selecting an appropriate display for this data taken on students' favorite food. Since the data is separated into categories, we should create a bar graph. What if we collected data on money earned doing chores for 6 weeks? Since this data set deals with changes over time in weeks, we should create a line graph.
So when you finish your schedule today, I want from all girls to go inside your account in Alif program and to solve this lesson, please.
Welcome to McGraw-Hill Personal Tutor. Which display allows you to tell the median of the data? So if you take a look at these two displays, we have basketball scores in each. So they're representing the same data, but in this case we have a line plot here at the top. And you'll notice with the line plot, you've got each of the scores represented. However, in order to find the median, what we need to do is find the total number of scores and then find the middle of that. Whereas if you look down here at the box plot, you've got the same information. However, not every single score is represented in this, but you'll notice that the median in a box plot is always very clearly labeled. So you'll notice here we've got a median of 50. So it is much quicker to tell what the median is from a box plot as opposed to a line plot. But a line plot does show us each individual score, whereas with a box plot, you'll notice that the bottom 25% would occur between 44 and 46. Then you have 50% of the data occurring between 46 and 53, and then the final 25% between 53 and 55. So each of these two are good for different things, but in this case, finding the median, it would be better to use a box plot. Thank you for using McGraw-Hill Personal Tutor.
As you see in this example here, the question said, which display allows you to tell the median of the data? Here, it is difficult to know the median. Here, for mean is the suitable for mean. But here, this graph here is the suitable to know the median. As you remember, here we have the median. Here we have the first quartile, here the third quartile, and here we have the minimum value and here the maximum value, as you see. So what is the name of this graph? This is a box plot. This is box plot. So here in this question, in this case, the suitable display will be the box plot.
This is Mrs. Dawson, and the following is an example on how to construct an appropriate display. Pets. A survey asked a group of students to name their favorite type of pet. Select an appropriate type of display for the data. Justify your reasoning, then construct the display. The information has been gathered in a tally chart. There were 7 who chose cat as their favorite pet, 9 who chose dog, 6 who chose fish, and 3 who chose turtle. We do have a couple options here of what type of graph we would like to use. A bar graph will allow us to show how each one is related to each other, and a circle graph would allow us to show how each one is related to the whole. In this case, I think a bar graph is most appropriate. On the bar graph, we do need a title, favorite type of pet, and across the bottom is the type of pet. We have cats, dogs, fish, and turtle. And up the top are the number of students who chose that pet as their favorite. Notice that the graph goes by ones except here at the bottom. Because it's not the same scale, we need a break in the graph.
A bar graph is just what it sounds like. We'll take the information from the tally chart and create rectangles that show how many students have chosen that type of pet as their favorite. The cat. 7 chose the cat. So we'll start at the cat and we'll go up to 7 and make a bar. 9 students chose dog. 6 chose fish. And 3 chose the turtle. Now, by quick glance, you can notice that the highest number of students chose dog as their favorite type of pet. So in this case, we have chosen appropriate display, which is the bar graph. The reason is because at quick glance, you can see which one was the highest number chosen, and then we've constructed our bar graph.
Here in this example, we have frequently. We have repeated numbers. For example, here we have cat, 7 cats, dog 9, fish 6, turtle 3. And but here we don't have periods. If I have periods, so here the best to use the histogram when you have the periods. If you don't have the periods here like this, the best one to use the paragram. So this is our lesson today. Now let us to take attendance. CBC. Okay, Aliazia. Where is Aliazia? Absent? Okay, Becca also absent. روضة.
مستر أنا موجودة.
Okay, روضة.
أقدر أطلع؟
Yes, روضة absent.
Yes, مستر هني.
موجودة روضة. سارة. absent سارة. سلمى.
أطلع؟
موجودة سلمى. تمام.
Mr. Can I get out?
عائشة. absent. فاطمة.
Yes.
ليان موجودة.
Yes.
Okay. This is our lesson today. Thank you for your listening. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.